welcome to Kofi. Would you like to introduce yourself, Kofi, and tell us a little bit more about your career kind of history to date, from kind of transitioning from talent acquisition to careers kind of coaching? It'd be lovely to hear.
Yeah. Well, thank you first of all for having me on the podcast. I love to do these sorts of things and share my experiences. So my name is Kofi Kyei, and I'm the founder of Chay Executive Coaching, which is leadership development practice, but also includes career transition advice. And I'm available, because I love chatting, for public speaking engagements as well. So that's a bit about me. In terms of my career history to date, if I go back, I studied like economics and economic history at university, and then moved into the publishing sector in sales roles. I really enjoyed working in that environment because of the training, the vibrancy, and the pace. And I found that a conversation actually with a recruitment consultant convinced me that moving into talent acquisition would be a more fulfilling career path, because you get to help people on their journeys rather than selling exhibition spaces or advertising spaces. So off I went. And that led me to start my career at a really amazing firm called Ambition, which was previously Witten Jardine. And at the time, they were offering a training program for recent graduates. And I loved the culture there, which was really focused on high quality service to clients and candidates. And it was incredibly inclusive, with a strong sense of purpose. So there, I kind of progressed from like newbie to a manager within the financial services practice during my 5 years there. And then I went on to have a couple more roles within recruitment companies before I traded the boom and bust of commission-based roles, which I know you know about, for an in-house talent acquisition role at HSBC, which was a baptism of fire, because it was like high volumes, highly demanding stakeholders, no hiding place really. And then if I think, from where did I go from there? So from there, I progressed to a couple of other global financial services organizations before I was headhunted for a role at Legal & General, where I, again, enjoyed some progression, great progression. And I left earlier this year. My role when I left was executive search partner. And that role really saw me supporting leadership with their senior appointments. And that gave me a deep insight into the challenges that they faced as leaders on a day-to-day basis, their thought processes around balancing the operational and strategic goals that they had. And I built some really wonderful relationships there and got to know a number of the leaders there on a personal level as well. So where I am now is, I guess, for the last 10 years or so, I've always enjoyed coaching individuals looking to progress, but more on an informal basis. And in 2023, I pitched the idea to my manager at the time of like formalizing my passion so that I could support colleagues, given I knew what it took to land the most senior roles. And that took me to studying the Academy of Executive Coaching certification, got that out, which I loved. And then after taking some time out earlier in the year to reflect on life and how I wanted to spend my future, I decided to invest in the same Academy's diploma to really refine my skills, learn some creative techniques to help my clients unlock their potential. And it's been an awesome transformative journey for myself, in that the cohort that I work with really just encouraged me to get on with it, really. And so that saw me launch Chay Executive Coaching in September, which, whilst it's fully inclusive in practice, I guess I have a particular passion for supporting women and the global majority, as it aligns with like my mission that I know we talked about previously, to improve the diversity of thought within leadership roles so that we can build an even more inclusive society from here on out, really.
Brilliant. Well, welcome anyway. I know as part of a lot of our kind of client relationships, we're often kind of educating around kind of ED&I, around providing inclusive cultures, attracting diverse talent, etc. So how do you believe firms can work most effectively to provide inclusive cultures, and sort of what's the greatest barrier that you see?
That's a juicy couple of questions there. I think it starts with understanding why that might be important to the organization in question. Um, I'm a big believer that once the why is clear and there's senior leadership buy-in, then the how can follow from that. I think for organizations that are struggling to formalize their strategy, I'd recommend inviting specialists to survey employees to understand their perspectives on how inclusive they feel the organization is and what else might be done to move the dial on the aspirations that they've discovered. There are, of course, like formal and informal employee networks that can be tapped into for feedback as well. And then I think the real work starts in terms of strategy, design, and implementation. And in this process, it is absolutely, in my view, essential to have representatives from various backgrounds within the working group and buy-in for the highest levels of leadership. That's sort of my view on that. And the second part of your question, I guess, was the greatest barrier. It's been an interesting week on a geopolitical scale, and I feel we are living in an age of information, misinformation, and increasing polarization. And I think these aspects present challenges when it comes to getting to the heart of the matters. I think what we've witnessed, and we saw it with Brexit, that self-interest rather than collective or global interest can sometimes create this sort of scarcity mindset where there's an unwillingness to explore like true collaboration and inclusion for fear of losing out, you know. And at other times, you've got well-intentioned initiatives that fail to gather like the desired buy-in and momentum because some or all of the steps that I previously mentioned are skipped. I really feel strongly that to appeal to an employee, one must understand the employee or employees. And I question how that can happen if the employees, as wide a range of employees' voices, aren't included in the product design or the subsequent marketing campaign.
Yes, no, I 100% believe that the feedback is absolutely imperative. We run a survey every 6 months called Your Voice Matters at 10th Revolution Group, and it's an incredibly good way of everyone having a voice, from somebody with a few weeks experience, you know, up to kind of board level, etc.
And if Catherine, sorry, there's another little bit just to build on that, if I may, that
yes,
in terms of like what I'd love to see more of is organizations and leaders leading with empathy, love, and curiosity, because I think with an understanding that the lived experience of their employees will be remarkably different, I think it's really imperative to create the safe spaces for open and constructive feedback, like what you do. And then it's about following through on the promises and addressing any behaviors that don't fit the vision of how the company wants to operate. Because I think when this doesn't happen, trust breaks, feedback stops, and then the employees suffer. And then they might not bring their whole selves to work. And in the worst cases, they leave, you know, they'll ply their trade elsewhere, as we've seen. So I think the companies that get the inclusion and diversity piece right, who can really unite employees with a shared sense of purpose, are able to create like these thriving environments where there's opportunities for growth, profits, environmental benefits as well. And no one loses, everyone gains, you know. So I think productivity, retention, well-being, all of that good stuff rises. And like, who wouldn't want some of that, really, you know?
Absolutely. So, just talking around our kind of ED&I initiatives, we try to attract talent from the whole market. We often see candidates that have gone through sort of reskill or career changes. What advice would you give to someone looking for a change in direction?
I think it would be sort of sequential. So I'd recommend starting with an audit of themselves through reflection around what their meaning and purpose in life are. You know, we've all have different talents, different things we enjoy doing, but really start with sitting with yourself and answering those questions for yourself. And I'd really encourage them to dream big, like safe in the knowledge that like with small steps consistently applied, they can make the transition they want if it's something that they're truly passionate about. Next, I would probably say explore the skills that they enjoy using. You know the ones where when you're using them, you're in full flow and the time just passes quickly. Like it's just like, oh my God, it's like 5:45. I'm supposed to leave here at 5. Then I would ask them to research the roles that really align with those skills within the organizations where they feel they can feel at home, like working with like-minded individuals. Um, the next thing I think I'd probably suggest would be to encourage them to find mentors in those roles already who've gone through those roles who can support them with that pivot. So these individuals can sometimes be really powerful allies and sponsors and open doors for them, or just give them guidance that will sort of speed up the process. And then last but not least, and you might not be surprised if I said this, but I would really recommend working with a coach who can help them connect with the invisible power that we all have within us to accelerate the process. And I've witnessed this being coached myself, but also coaching other people, that it can be a really transformational partnership that removes the interferences with their potential. So it could be like self-limiting beliefs. You know, we talked about this before, sometimes with female candidates who don't think that they're good enough when most of the time they're actually better than the men that apply, but they just don't back themselves.
You said it.
Yeah, I say Catherine for Prime Minister. That's what I'm saying. And then many of us are just, just with life. Like we talked about this earlier. Like we're so busy with life and maybe family commitments, caring commitments, our hobbies, whatever, that we seldom have time to sort of sit with ourselves and really delve into where we want to be in life, let alone set a course towards it. So I think working with a coach can really bring out your best through some really powerful questions that accelerate that sort of clarity that's needed and the commitment to take the steps that will move one forward.
Yeah, brilliant. And so what networking groups are you involved in that kind of might benefit kind of your own growth?
Yeah. So it's a funny one because the older I've gotten, the more I realize I don't know much at all. So every day for me is, ooh, this is an exciting opportunity to grow and learn and share other people's lived experiences, which are different to my own. And so I'm fortunate to be a member of the Association of Coaches and the Academy of Executive Coaches, who provide like insights into my work as an executive coach. I also network with ex-colleagues to keep my finger on the pulse of the challenges, but also the opportunities that are going on within their organizations. And that includes, people like yourself or Claire, who I've worked with in the capacity previously, but it's great to just hear the stuff that like 10th Revolution are doing, which is like, yes, like good stuff. You're out there trying to make money, you're trying to build your business, but at the same time, trying to give back. And that provides opportunities like this, which is marvelous. And then outside of work, I love cycling. If you didn't know, I'm sharing it. I love cycling. And through the global cycling community I created in 2020, which is called Ride for Unity, I have the opportunity to connect with cyclists, including like elite ones, as well as community leaders, to explore the connectivity between sport and high performance. So that's on the sports side. And then lastly, I've built a network of what I call my trusted advisors. They don't know they're my trusted advisors because I don't pay them, otherwise they might ask for money, but they're people that I go to for guidance on like a wide range of topics. So it could be from financial aspects to relationships to personal training, spiritual connection, and just other areas of personal development that I'm interested in.
Interesting. Yeah, peer-to-peer support is really useful, isn't it? Yeah. I think I've got a whole circle of trusted advisors as well. And then sort of final kind of question, and it's a top tip actually for the audience. We've both got kind of employers and employees that kind of listen in. What's your top tip?
It's a marvelous question. I think my top tip would be to stay curious and to lead with love. I think it is love, the most powerful emotion I can think of. And it can truly take us to places that no other emotion can match. If I think about it, there isn't much that we wouldn't do for the love of another person or an organization or a mission. And I feel that if we had more love in the corporate world, it would have a huge impact on the wider world. Because I think through that, there'd be greater understanding, which would allow us to achieve so much more than we already have. I think employees would be happier at work, and they'd be happier at home, and that would benefit communities everywhere. So stay curious, lead with love. That'd be my top tip.
Amazing. Thanks very much for all of your kind of insights today, and look forward to welcoming you back in the future as well. Brilliant.
I can't wait. Good luck with everything on your side as well. Thank you.
Thank you.